The Italian city of Florence has, for centuries, been a source of inspiration for poets, writers, painters and sculptors. But beneath the calm and splendour, there still remain traces of the passion and violence which forged this city. One such reminder is the Renaissance football game of Calcio Storico. Its origins date back some 2,000 years, to a time when Roman legionnaires played it in preparation for battle. Official rules were drawn up in 1580. Back then it was a sport played by the aristocracy. In the 18th century, the games were discontinued, but they began again in 1930. Calcio Storico is not just a reflection of the past, it's a bloody, violent competition. 4 teams take part in the annual tournament. Each comes from one of Florence's ancient quarters. Each is represented by its own church and wears its own colour. The blues are from Santa Croce, green from San Giovanni, red Santa Maria Novella, and the whites Santo Spirito. The whites' president is Massimo Nardi.
In this sport, there are no substitutions. If you leave the pitch, you're out. It's a sport where you can, let's say, bend the rules a little bit. Because if I injure you enough to make you leave the field, then I have the advantage. There are sporting rules, but if I get the better of you by bending the rules, I gain an advantage. So if a player takes a rival down to the ground and, let's say, breaks his arm, then I have a one-man advantage because the player with the broken arm will have to go to hospital.
In training, we had someone break their pelvis. Another player broke his knee, and in the last game, 2 players had broken arms. Anything can happen in Calcio Storico matches. But thank God so far, the injuries have been relatively minor. Last year, our keeper had a broken jaw and also quite a few broken ribs. Yet those who decide to play Calcio Storico know that these things can happen. And to be honest, it's not a problem for them. It's seen as a scar of war. It's something that comes with wearing the shirt.
Alberto Tardelli is president of the Blue team. Since 1982, they've won over 25 Calcio Storico titles. Their leading player is Gabriele Ceccarelli. He's now 59 and first played for Santa Croce when he was just 16.
The majority of kids on the street, street kids, they can be a bit rough. They fight, they horse around. They are the ones who might have aspirations to become someone in the city of Florence. And so Calcio Storico is attractive to them. Once you've stepped onto the sand playing in the square, there's no going back. It's like a drug. There's just no going back. The game does look complex, but there are tactics. In football, you have 11 versus 11. Here, we're all in a space that's half the size of a football pitch. There are 54 players and there are different positions. There are attackers, midfielders, quarterfielders, the quarterback, if you will. That's my role. And there are many tactical variations. Being born in Florence, which is a small city, you get to know the mindset of the other teams. We also know the personalities of their players, just as they know us. So we try to study them and vice versa, and we try to find a way to beat them.
In this edition of the tournament, the Blues beat the Reds 11-0, whilst the Whites overcame the Greens 9-2. Going into the final, the Whites of Santo Spirito are looking for their first title in over 30 years. The final is played in Piazza Santa Croce to coincide with the feast of St. John, the patron saint of Florence. Over 5,000 people are in attendance, and they witness a pre-match pageant. Hundreds of Florentines march across the piazza, their costumes echoing the city's Renaissance grandeur. The rules of Calcio Storico are few. There's a normal football, 50 minutes of play, no substitutions, and the sand pitch has goals a metre high running across its 50-metre width. The teams are 27 aside. Some tactics are expressly forbidden. There's no kicking in the head or kicking a man when he's down, but otherwise pretty much anything goes. At the end of a grueling match, the Whites win 4-0. For the losers, desolation, and the knowledge that it'll be 12 months before their chance for revenge. For Santo Spirito, a first triumph in 31 years. They're the champions of Calcio Storico. On this occasion, the city of Florence belongs to them.